Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Well, another big news week with plenty of green across the board here. A bit of red in the altcoin space, and a lot of people starting to ask if Bitcoin is sucking money out of altcoins. So I will touch on that towards the end of the video. Cosmos was one of the best performers this week, up 47%. I'm always a bit cautious when something jumps into the top 20 like this. We should give it a few weeks for the dust to settle and get a bit of price discovery to see where this one ends up. A bit of housekeeping, guys. All the winners have been contacted. Please check your email for that and all the runner-up prizes we've given out as well. We've also updated the landing page on our website, so plenty of more information about everything that we do over at nuggetsnews.com.au. On this day in crypto history, and it's only the 2013 one I want to mention here when CoinMarketCap launched. And it's always good to head over there and check out that historical data to see how much the top coins have changed. Into the local macro news now, and this was an interesting tweet to me, the real GDP per capita growth. And we know that Japan sort of peaked a lot earlier than a lot of other modern economies, and it's considered a lost decade here with pretty low growth. Again, after the GFC, pretty low growth. But if we then compare it to Australia since the GFC, we're almost growing half as much when you take into consideration our population growth. So at the moment, real GDP per capita continues to struggle. Martin North and I will do our monthly deep dive again later this week. Uber drivers in Australia are suing in a class action here against Uber for taking their wages. So it's not the first time Uber have been sued. A lot of disruptors always ruffle a few feathers. So if you're an Uber driver or a taxi driver, let me know what you guys think of this one in the comments below. Over to the US now, and Google has plummeted the most since 2012. We know these big tech stocks tend to be holding up the market, and at one stage there, we had 90% of stocks below their 50-day moving average, and it really was that other 10% that continue to really grow. So one that we want to keep an eye on. It's certainly become a dominant player, and the Nasdaq broke out to new record highs, even though Google had a terrible week. In the broader US economy, we saw unemployment at its lowest rate since 1969. There's still room for improvement, they're saying here. Now, recently, Martin North and I spoke about how unemployment rate is calculated, and it can be a little bit misleading. It's changed compared to the way it was calculated all these decades ago. So, look, it's another metric that's good. The US economy is going along pretty well for a lot of metrics, but there's also a lot of debt out there and a lot of numbers that aren't so great. If the economy is chugging along so well, why are so many workers miserable? And unfortunately, this is a fact of life, particularly in the US, where a lot of people, are on antidepressants, anxiety medication, and all that sort of thing. So, look, our lives have reached this frantic pace, and it's very stressful for a lot of people. I think, debt and the price of living is one of the compounding factors, but certainly a big topic I'd love to continue to talk about in future. In terms of central banks, we know that recently they tried to unwind their assets on their balance sheet, and that did not end well, with stock markets dropping 20% in a very short amount of time, and now they're talking about backing away from that as well. And Ray Dalio this week, legendary investor, has come out and said that central banking is on its way out. Now that's probably music to the ears of Bitcoin and crypto investors, but it's this modern monetary theory that will inevitably replace it. So modern monetary theory, in a nutshell, is governments should just spend more money and go into more debt, and then if we start to get inflation, we'll just raise taxes on people and get that money back. Now, that's a gross oversimplification. I'd love to have an economist on the channel to talk about this more, but certainly something that's interesting that wasn't being spoken about even a couple of years ago that's starting to gain traction. So all that money printing led to a huge chase for bonds, and negative yielding bonds are breaking records. We saw this start to unwind, but we're back up again with over $10 trillion in negative yielding debt. So just like a lot of you are now familiar with negative interest rates, it just doesn't really make sense where someone would give so much money to governments to guarantee to get a lower return, but the markets are upside down these days. Now into some slightly crypto-related news, and this is one of the things that I mentioned as a threat to crypto even this week in our bearish scenario video, that these sort of headlines are going to come out and try and pin Bitcoin and paint it in a bad light. So look, I'm not sure if this story has a lot of truth or whatnot, but not something we want to see, not one of the uses of Bitcoin we like at all, but these are the headlines that unfortunately are going to continue, particularly in the mainstream. Another one was the threat of who is Satoshi, and we saw McAfee tweet that he's going to expose it. We've now got gotsatoshi.com pop up. Apparently in 9 days' time, they're going to reveal it. So just something to be aware of, guys. Whether or not they know anything here, but this is something that the market is probably going to have headlines about on this day. We've also seen a lot of the darknet marketplaces being taken down. So look, whether or not these are exit scams or they've been infiltrated by the authorities, that was the rumor that seems to have been confirmed now. Just be careful out there, guys. There's so many scams out there these days. You have to be careful if you are using the darknet for whatever reason. And in Australia, we saw a huge uptick in scams in 2018. Never click on any links, emails you're not sure about. Always double check with a friend or someone in the know before you go to any website. Australia also announced this week that they'll be cracking down and starting to data match all the crypto exchange data. Now, I'm going to have Adrian Forza on from Crypto Tax Australia this week to talk about this. We did write an article if you want more information, but this is pretty important for anyone that's been dabbling in the crypto space at all to get their head around as we approach the tax deadline. In other great news here, Power Ledger have built a world first, a blockchain village in Fremantle with government support. They continue to do good things. Gaining traction in the real world is what we want to see, and all these little villages popping up and whatnot should be using that Power Ledger software, which should give that token more and more utility, hopefully over time. We also saw the opposition leaders come out and say we're going to build a $3 million blockchain academy over in Perth if we win the election. So look, these big claims always come out last minute. Let's see if anything comes of this, but either way, the government have been pretty supportive of blockchain in Australia recently. Speaking of politics, and Horizon State have teamed up with Binance with their charity foundation for more transparent donations. So I want to have Nemo on the channel soon to talk about everything that Horizon State have been up to. A couple of good partnerships, hopefully a few more, and we will have him on very soon. Another big news item this week that really jumped as well, and congrats to all our members, they got into this trade early when this news broke that Jaguar were using Iota. And this news sort of didn't move the markets for half an hour, and then we jumped 20%. So well done to you guys that got into that. Thanks to all the people that shared that in our Facebook group. Another mainstream company getting on board. So Domino's has become a bit of a tech company. I'm sure you've all used that Domino's app or the website. It's a pretty smooth experience to order pizza compared to picking up the phone 20 years ago. So whether or not they can benefit a lot from SingularityNet and artificial intelligence, I'm not sure what their future plans are, but it's actually become a pretty interesting company for a pizza delivery company. Ripple have had some good news this week, inking a $40 billion deal with money transfer giant. So look, a lot of people say that I'm not a big supporter of Ripple. I tend to sort of share my feelings on that pretty openly, guys, but this is good news. If Ria money transfers start to use XRP token, as always, guys, that is what needs to happen for this to start to gain utility and more value as well. One of the things I spoke about last year was that the older projects that have been very busy building are going to get the spotlight in 2019, and Qtum falls into that category, confirming a partnership here with Google Cloud and rolling that out. We know that Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, a lot of people have been very open to blockchain technology, and good to see that Qtum, a project that's very hardworking, get recognized here by Google Cloud. Now, Facebook, the rumors about that stablecoin continue to grow, and I've spoken pretty candidly about this. Look, teaming up with Visa and MasterCard and so on, I'm not going to be using this one, guys. I don't think I'm a fan of this. Let's see what else comes out about Project Libra, as they're calling it here. But, geez, the banks, Facebook, one by one, it's these big players that were, banning blockchain ads and crypto ads and whatnot, laughing off blockchain, and now here they are trying to get their piece of the pie and figure out how they can make money off it without actually adopting it, Bitcoin and whatnot. Okay, so MakerDAO is one that I love to talk about on the channel, and their multi collateral DAI is coming out soon. I've done a deep dive for this for our members. What coins I think are going to really benefit for this. I think this is going to increase the peg, as Maker has suffered a little bit recently in that department as well. Jack Dorsey, big supporter of Bitcoin. Square's revenue jumped to $65 million in Q1. So imagine how big this number is going to be once we know the bottom is in, once we have that next wave of people coming in. It's fantastic, and it shows other companies that, hey, you can be profitable by supporting Bitcoin, as I just mentioned, rather than just putting out your own coin. It's actually something that I think Twitter have done well for a company that's been pretty unpopular for a lot of other reasons lately. Now, Bitfinex continues to be in the news with this official document leaked saying that they're going to raise $1 billion in an IEO style raise for this token. Now, what this token is going to do is give you big discounts on trading and withdrawals, all that usual stuff, just as Binance have implemented really successfully. But look, Tether, I think people are pretty confident now that it's not the end of the world. Even if it's not backed, they've got other things backing it, shares, equity, whatnot, and now they're going to raise money. So I think the market is kind of moving past this, but let's see if there's any more news coming out. There was a few other rumors leaked, bad news about Tether and Bitfinex this week, and the market didn't budge at all, which is really great to see. Now, I did do a deep dive for our members about the different stablecoins and Tether and Maker and all this sort of thing, why Tether is trading for above $1 on some and below $1 on others, how they're going to regain their pegs and all that. So if you are interested in that, guys, head over to nuggetsnews.com.au. Now, Binance API reveals that they're getting into margin trading. So it was only a few months ago when they were asked about this, and they said it's not really a priority, but in the bear market, the teams get to thinking, what else can we do to expand? And Binance has been very busy doing a lot of different things. So look, 9 trading pairs look to be adding margin. That's going to excite a lot of Binance users, guys. So I'll cover that and do a tutorial once that comes out as well. Into some statistics now, and I'm not sure whether I believe these or not. 11% of Americans own Bitcoin. 22% of institutional investors have digital assets. And 68% of global crypto millionaires already investing in crypto. So look, these are some pretty high numbers. I'm not sure what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. I think the numbers would be far, far lower than that if we're looking at true global populations. But hey, I'm not sure where these surveys get done. In terms of mass adoption, we saw Grayscale, the investment trust, come out this week and launch their Drop Gold TV commercial. Now, this has got over 200,000 views already. The important takeaway from this, I believe, is that all these different Wall Street companies are building these investment products, and they want to make money by charging retail customers fees. Obviously, they benefit when Bitcoin goes up and there's more excitement and more people coming in, but this is how they get more people in, by starting to advertise. So Grayscale is just the first. I think we're going to see a lot of ads. There's going to come a time where we have a Bitcoin ETF advertised at halftime in the Super Bowl and all that sort of thing. And that is what the next wave and the next mania euphoria is going to look like. And we'd probably be cautious once we get to that stage. In terms of real investment that is going into crypto, legendary investor Andreessen Horowitz and their fund have raised another $2.7 billion for a couple of new funds. So these guys have been awesome at picking great projects early. Maker, DXDY was the other one that I was thinking of here, guys, and I want to talk about a bit of their news here as well. DYDX are doing fully decentralized derivatives, and we know how messy the derivatives market is on Wall Street. These derivatives are fully backed. It's all on the blockchain. I absolutely love this one. I did show you guys how to use this on Radar Relay, but decentralized leverage from the comfort of your own hardware wallet. I absolutely love this, and I can't wait to watch it continue to grow and give us more products to trade. Other news this week was Bakkt acquiring more crypto custodians. So look, this crypto winter has given a lot of these companies, just as we see in the gold mining sector, merger and acquisitions take place in crypto winter during the downtimes. But blockchain gaming is the space that I want to focus on. And pretty soon I'm going to do a gaming week and talk about a lot of the interesting projects I see. I did let our members know 5 projects that are on my radar. I've bought a couple of these already, and I just think the gaming industry is about to completely boom in the next few years, and I'm looking forward to sharing those interviews with some of the guests we're going to have on the channel in that gaming week. Into the Ethereum news, and we saw the Ethereum name service bring out their permanent register. So this is something that we covered for our premium members about a year ago, buying out these domain names for things that I think are going to be valuable in the near future. So their system is changing. Head over to manager.ens.domains. If you want to know how to register and migrate the addresses you've bought, you will have to pay a low fee. I believe it's only about $5 per year. A very worthwhile investment if you want to lock down some of those domain names. Now, Ethereum is moving over to proof of stake, and there's going to be a few different phases, and we've actually completed the phase 0 code to be implemented by June 30, so a lot faster than maybe a lot of people thought. If you don't know what this is talking about, please check out Ethereum 2.0 and the new Beacon Chain launch, where I spoke about the updated Ethereum roadmap and where it's going in the next couple of years. Speaking of Ethereum, we saw Elon Musk tweet out Ethereum, and then he did tweet jokes, but then we saw Vitalik come out and say, come to DevCon in October, and then Elon Musk wrote back and said, what should we develop on Ethereum? And Vitalik replied there. So look, this was a bit of a roller coaster of people saying, this is a joke. Oh, wow, there's something here. Let's see what comes of this. It would be pretty awesome if Tesla were to adopt Ethereum in any sort of way. And look, I think Elon's one of the most open-minded people, if anyone is going to jump in there. So let's see what happens. Now, into the charts, and the thing I want to show you here first, guys, is the total market cap. Sometimes it's good just to take a step back, and a lot of people are still talking about that next leg lower. But what we have to be mindful of is that volumes are pretty big. We've had so many green weeks in a row, and then we've had pretty healthy consolidation. So the bulls and the bears were fighting it out during this double bottom Adam and Eve pattern that we spoke about. And we said there's plenty of room to run on the weekly RSI if we are to complete this pattern and break out. So the bulls have shown up again this week with pretty decent volume, and this total market cap shows us that there is money going into altcoins as well. So I don't think that Bitcoin is stealing altcoins' thunder. If anything, it's those bad altcoins that people are getting out of and increasing their Bitcoin percentage in their portfolio. But we've certainly seen good projects continue to grow up with their individual market caps growing. So they're not stealing money necessarily off Bitcoin. If we have a look at the Bitcoin chart, I've got a lot of mess on the chart here, so I just want to explain this. The blue is the number of longs and the orange is the number of shorts. So we've seen longs, the people betting the Bitcoin's going to go up, really drop off here, and it's down to 18,000, whereas shorts are over 30,000 here, and they've had a huge increase just recently. So look, whenever these gets extended, people tend to do the wrong thing at the wrong time, and we haven't seen a short squeeze yet. So if this was to continue higher and Bitcoin continues higher, someone has to win. Someone has to close at a big loss that can lead to a short squeeze, and that could give us the power to maybe test this 6,000, 6,500 range. So look, I will remove those off my chart now, guys. I'll bring up all our other usual indicators here. And what we can see here is that we had the 200-week moving average here as support. A lot of people were expecting that 50-week to act as resistance. We've actually broken through there. Now, not on overly convincing volume for Bitcoin. Let's have a look at that daily chart now. And it continues to ride these moving averages. And I know plenty of you use these as trading. Now, one of the things I spoke about last week was this divergence here where we continue to trend higher, but the RSI was getting a little bit weaker. Now, we did have that correction, but again, it just got bought in those moving averages here. So we can argue that divergence continues here with the RSI still having a pretty downward slope to it. So a lot of people are expecting and front running this trade, that we are going to run out of steam here. So this is that big zone, everywhere from 6,000-ish to the mid 6,000s here that we saw a lot of volume. You guys know the story before we broke through there in a meaningful way. Now, in terms of our cycle brackets, we've been pushing up this entire time since April 26th. Now, the time we've got at bottoming here is May 13. So, look, this would fit with our scenario that we have one more gasp higher into this zone, but everyone is expecting it. And you know what I say, when everyone's expecting something to happen, it rarely occurs. So, look, one situation here is that uber bullish scenario where the shorts pile in here and we actually get that squeeze to go through it and then come back and test it as support. Now that might take a few weeks to play out, but that would be a very, very bullish scenario. The other scenario here is that it does act as resistance. We've got a lot of traders waiting for this level to happen, piling into more shorts. We do get a bit of a pullback, but we don't get this huge new leg down that a lot of people are sort of waiting on now. So look, the fact remains, guys, we're in an uptrend. We keep forming higher lows. It's pretty healthy stuff. I'm just going to check out the Iota chart quickly because thanks to Mark, who shared this news in our group when Iota was trading at 26 cents here and gave everyone plenty of time to jump in, and that ended up being over a 20% trade. So we love that community with everyone supporting each other. Keep up the great work, guys. If you do want to join us, head over to nuggetsnews.com.au. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.